What's going on? What's going on? Shit, it's live out. Shit, is live out. Shit, is live out. What's going on? What's going on? Drop where y'all from inside of the live. Drop where y'all from. Drop where y'all from inside of the live. So we can have some dialogue. Some conversations. Drop them real estate questions too. Drop them real estate questions as well. I'm thinking strategy right now. I need to run a play by you. That's cool. Yeah. Oh, Juma, I just got your text. I just got your text. Did you talk to Sandy? I didn't get a chance to look at your text. I got you though. Did you have some conversation with Sandy today? Drop them questions, y'all. Drop them questions in the chat. Let's see. Oh man, Dan, what's going on, man?
What's going on, good brother?
How you feeling, man? How's everything?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed. That's for sure. I'm blessed, man.
That's it, man. One foot in front of the other, right?
That's it. All the time. That's it.
Yeah,
I
man.
uh I forgot, man. I haven't been on this IG thing in a while. We might have talked about it, but my page had got hacked.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I tried to get it back. I hired somebody to get it back. We
Wow.
we got very close to getting it back, and then they just shut it down. So then you can't get it back.
What?
So yeah. So I lost all that stuff I had there. And what happens is what I didn't realize is you can't go live until you get so many followers. Now, so I'm have to build that back up
Yeah,
again. And I'm like, oh
yeah,
shoot, like I can't even go live. That's why
yeah.
that's why I had to message you, man. But everything's good.
Everything's good, man. We're gonna work on that. Hey, y'all, listen, everybody. I need y'all to go click the arrow up top. Go follow Dan. We got to get his page back up and working. So if you're on this live, go follow Dan right now so we can get him back activated, y'all. Because Dan comes on here quite often and he gives out good real estate information. So make sure you go follow Dan. We got to get him back. But yeah,
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I
yeah,
appreciate it. I definitely want to thank you again for speaking at the Bragg Expo.
yeah,
That was and I'm not just saying it just because it was Bragg that did it. It was a really dynamic event. We got a lot of positive feedback. A lot of
yeah,
people got like a lot of gems. I mean, you obviously dropped a ton of gems.
yeah,
There was just a lot of powerful speakers there,
yeah.
and really think we have something to build off of for next year, man. So definitely
Sure. I
thanks
appreciate that.
for coming out.
Hey man, I appreciate the invite, man. I'm always intrigued to come out and teach and add value because you already bring value to Bragg, right? So it's always good to try to collab and add more value. So man, yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for having me come out, man. I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, man, thanks. One of the things I'm seeing, I'm curious to
Mhm.
get your feedback. And just,
Yeah,
I know this is not my live, but the reason why we're started up again, I used to do something called Money Mondays,
yeah,
and like we're bringing that back now.
mhm,
Obviously, I couldn't go live, but the reason why I created Money Mondays was because for those who don't know, like I'm a Southwest Philly guy. I've been in investor for 20 plus years. And
mhm,
just in that period, I've learned so much about money and how things operate. Just a lot of information that I just did not know growing up. And
yeah,
so I had all of these. all of these resources, all these folks I know that just make money a lot of cool ways, either as investors or as lenders, as brokers, in the insurance game. And I wanted to be able to share those folks with the people so that they can just start learning different ways that you can make money and get a better idea of how money operates. And so that was really the inspiration for Money Mondays. So we're starting it back up again. And again, I couldn't think of a better person to start with, because
Yeah.
you know, I was following you a long time before we actually met. But
Right.
a lot of what I saw in you was just real information. It wasn't a bunch of hype, wasn't a bunch of fluff.
Hmm.
And what I'm happy to see now, and I'm curious if you're seeing this, I'm seeing a lot less of that now. Seems like a lot of the hype just kind of got taken out of the business. Are you seeing that, or like, what are you seeing now?
Yeah, so you know what it is too, is that people are now more attentive to the things that are happening, right? So I still think that the hype and fluff is still there a little bit, but I think it's not getting as much attention because
Mm,
people are starting to ask the right questions now, right? So when people are like, oh, I teach real estate, now people are like, okay, show me. You know what I
mm,
mean? Or you know what I mean? So break down what you do. And I think because the people who are looking to get educated are getting more educated, and they're more familiar with, okay, I see this person doing this, but I don't really see them in properties. I don't, all I see them is, going to different events or showing cars and showing the lifestyle. So people are now starting to see through the smoke, I believe. I think
mm.
it's still there, but I just
Yeah,
think people are getting a little bit more wise, and money gets tight. I mean, you hit it right on the nose that doing money Wednesday. I mean, Money Mondays. People they still invest, right? People want to invest, but now people are more aware on how they invest, and they're more conscious of, if I'm going to invest this money, it got to work. It got to work.
yeah,
So yeah, so a lot of people can't run off with the fluff no more. And you got to teach now, because like, you come on here a lot, you teach for free. I come on here, I teach for free. So it's like, the information that we're delivering, not only is it good information, but it's executable information. So you can't fluff people now when other people are just giving you the stuff for free. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah,
you
yeah,
got to come with your
yeah,
A game now. You
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. That's definitely true. Plus, I think we had a few other factors that really played in. Like the IG lives and stuff was fairly new, and
Hmm.
we had this market that was just so rich with a lot of capital. Some was through COVID, some was through real estate, some
Right.
was through business credit, and so you had all of these factors, and it was just a lot. I think people push that first, but I think you're right. I think now people have people have wised up. Like, okay, like, let me actually see you walk through a property. Like, what deals
Yeah.
are you actually doing? So I think that's cool, man, and I'm glad, because it was sad to see a lot of folks, and unfortunately, it was a lot of our folks. I'm sure it's a lot of people, but that's what I see more of.
Yeah.
That was just bamboozled, man, and it was sad because they got them all hyped up,
Hmm.
got them charged up, and what really could have been a movement to really educate people and help people prosper, they took the fast route. So, but is what it is. But at least we got folks like us teaching, and so yeah. So I definitely want to just kind of talk about
Yeah.
real estate, kind of things that you're seeing. I
Hmm.
know I've talked about kind of shifting markets, pivoting, and also kind of what's going on now. What are some things that, if folks are new or newer, what are some things that are strategies that they should be looking out for in this current market?
Yeah. That's a very interesting question because now what I'm seeing, especially with a lot of my students and my mentees, is that people are starting to be aware that yes, I've been learning some real estate, or I learned how to, analyze deals. But then I think a lot of people are hitting that roadblock opportunity of not knowing real estate like a business. Right now, they're like, "Oh man, I got this properties, but I never did my taxes, and I never was trained on how to find tenants, or I never was trained on, how to analyze the performance of my portfolio or the
Mhm.
performance of my actual rental that I had." Right. I think people are starting to wake up to know that it's not just about just buying a property. It's not just about getting your credit fixed. It's not just about getting the funding. It's not just about, buying your property and trying to place a tenant. Now it's about, are you really running this business? Like, are you working in your business, or are you working on your business? And I think
Mhm.
that so many people are starting to see that difference. You still have the people who, still need some entry level stuff, but I think
Mhm.
now they're being more cautious to look. I want to do real estate, but I also
Mhm.
want to keep real estate. Like I don't want to do it like a hustle. I don't want to do it like a hobby.
Mhm.
And I believe that those people are the people that's going to be very, very successful in this because they're looking at it from a different lens, right? They're looking at it as, I really want to take this serious as a business, versus during the pandemic time when people was just, I want to buy my property because I see everybody else doing it. They said, wealth is in the properties. So
Mhm.
most people are starting to take a step back from that. Is what I'm seeing.
Mhm.
Um, I still see people jumping in too soon, though. A lot of people, it's attractive to say that I'm a real estate investor,
Sure.
right? But it's like, knowing real estate and doing real estate is two different things, right? You can do
Mhm.
real estate all day long, but do you really know what you're doing, right? Those two things need to be simultaneous together, and it works in harmony if you put them together the right way. But some people just jump in and I just want to do real estate, and then later they want to backtrack and figure out how to learn real estate. And I think sometimes it is a shell shock to them that they've learned. When they go back to learn it, they figure out that they've been doing it the wrong way. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
So, so there's a lot of great points, a lot of good gems there.
Yeah,
What would you recommend to somebody, so that they could transition from the hustle mindset to the business mindset? What are just like a few things
yeah.
that you would recommend to that person?
Yeah, the very first thing I would say is understand, go back and figure out what is it that you want to get out of real estate, right? Sometimes when you ask that question to somebody, and then somebody be like, "Hey, you got a mentorship?" And you're like, "Yes." My first question to everybody when I jump on the phone with them is, what is it that you're looking to get out of real estate? Where do you want to be in real estate? Is it, give me your short-term goals, give me your long-term goals. What is it that you understand in real estate? And sometimes uh people that don't understand where they want to go, you just hustling. If you don't understand what your goals are, you're not looking at it in the eye of, hey, I really want to take this serious. So if you're out there and you're somebody say, hey, I want to do real estate, just take that step back and ask yourself those questions, like, what is it that you're trying to get out of this? Is it a one and done? You want to do a flip, make some money, and go about your business and invest your money somewhere else? Is it really that you want to get into this and do it full time? Do you want to learn it, and structure yourself, as a business? And
Mhm.
once you start answering those type of questions, then you're going to understand, hey, I need a coach. I need
You
somebody
know,
that's going to really walk me through this. You know what I mean?
it is so interesting. That's literally the first question I ask people
Hmm.
is, what do you want to get out of this? And I tell you why I ask that question, because a lot of times people will watch myself, they'll watch you. And what they think is they have to become some sort of like copies of us.
Hmm.
And it's like, no, like I have my own specific goals and things that I'm trying to achieve through real estate. I'm
Hmm.
most likely at a different place in my life, right?
Yep.
Than you are. It doesn't mean better, worse, just different.
Yep.
And so you need to understand, and this is super, super important for everybody listening. Like it's great to, watch us and to get inspired. That's awesome. But you have to run your own race,
Hmm.
right? And what your goals are and what your needs are is going to be different. And so
Hmm.
another thing that I would see is people would get fixated on number of units. So so you got this many units, or how many units you have. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
it doesn't truly matter, right? A lot of times those are just vanity numbers, right? Because if they're not making money, they actually be hurting you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
correct.
what you need to figure out is how many units do you need, right? And how many units do you need if you want to be a landlord to reach your goals? And is
Yeah.
that goal, hey, I want that when I retire from this job, I now have this income coming in, and that's 20 years from now, and it pays down the mortgages this much, and I have this much equity. So that's a real goal, and that's to your point, Calvin. Now you have a business
Yep.
because once you have a clear objective, you can build around that.
Absolutely.
If you don't have that, what are you building towards? It's like you're walking, but you don't have any real destination.
That's correct.
So I think that's cool that your first question is actually my first question, and we have totally different, groups.
Yep.
But it just goes to the mindset of really trying to help people, or tailoring the like what you're training and teaching them to actually
Mhm.
help them out versus having this one size fits all box that you try to stick folks in. And there's a question here too, if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
Um, can you explain the difference of the business of real estate versus doing real estate? That's a Jay. That's a very great question, and here's the very simple answer to that. If you're doing real estate because somebody taught you how to analyze a deal, somebody taught you how to search prop stream or have a realtor or a wholesaler. You get the property. Somebody taught you how to, do the construction. Whether if you keep it as, a rental, you do the BRRRR method, or you put it on the market to sell it. And then once you're done, if you can't look at what you did and identify the process. If you can't
Mhm.
say, hey, this is my process, this is my SOP, this is how I structure things, this is where the money came from that I took the money and did this with it, right? I reinvested the money back into the business. If you can't say, hey, my company built this, I got 3, 4 different business bank accounts, I'm doing this with my real estate, right? If somebody asks you and say something like, hey, you sold a property. What's your next move? Oh, I'm just going to find another property. You're not doing it like a business, because a business have a business plan, right? When I break down to my mentees, I'll say to my mentees, I'll say, hey, what is your business plan? Like, what is it that you want to do? Somebody might say, hey, I want to get 4 or 5 rental properties. Or, matter of fact, let's be realistic. They first come out the gate, say, I want 100 doors. Everybody said that I want 100 doors. I want 200 doors. And I
Yeah.
got to give them the reality check. Like, it's not the quantity of the door, is the quality of the door. So you don't need
Mhm.
100 doors, right? The
Mhm.
other the other check is people say, I want 100K a month. You're struggling managing $5,000 a month. So if you get
Mhm.
$100,000 a month, you're going to need some more training. I'm not saying that it's not good to have that. I'm not saying it's not good to have large goals, but let's be realistic. Because when you think too far outside the box, the real estate that you're doing turns into a hustle. Now, if you say, hey, I want, coming out the gate, my minimum cash flow goal is $10,000 a month. The reason why is because my monthly expenses is 5,000. I times that by 2, which is going to give me 10,000. So if I can get $10,000 a month as my minimum cash flow goal coming out the gate, I'm going to cover my expenses plus have money to reinvest into real estate. That's
Mhm.
realistic.
That
That's
is, and,
realistic.
and that's something you can build a strategy around. Because if we say
Yes.
we want to get to that $10,000 a month, okay, what does that look like per door, right? And then how long will it take to get to those doors? So you're just not buying property just because something comes up, just because the wholesaler sends you something. Does it fit does it fit those goals? And it doesn't mean that the goals can't grow
Yeah.
over time, but if you don't have something that you're aiming for, you will be all over the place and then wonder why things are not working out. But I think that makes a ton of sense. And one thing that you said, I think even to simplify it, is it's your process should be duplicatable,
Mm,
right? Meaning it's
mm,
simple. Like you not
mm,
not not that it's simple, but you should not have to think hard about every step of the process, Right?
Right.
Somebody sends you a deal, you should be able to analyze the deal and understand if this deal makes sense based on whatever your preset goals are, right? If it's
Right.
$200 a door, if it's $300 a door, if it's a burr, if it's I get back all of my capital and then I make 200 bucks, whatever it is, right? And
Yeah.
your process for screen attendance should be the same. It should be
Right.
duplicatable, right? Where this is what we do. These are the steps. This is how we maintenance everything should have a process, right? And that's the non-sexy part of it, right? That's where you go to a Calvin. That's where you come to me, or you go to brag, because the last thing you want to do is spend time trying to reinvent the wheel. You've spent a lot of time, I know, because you and I have talked, and I'm impressed
Yeah.
with a lot of your processes.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time. Like I'm not going to, I'm not even going to spend my time trying to figure out what you're doing. I'm going to go to you like, hey, listen,
Yeah. Yeah.
let me
For
sit
sure.
down, whatever that
Yeah.
cost is, because you figured those things out. And so that's really where, once you marry those things of understanding what your goals are, and then and finding the right person that can coach you to those spaces that understand what you need. I
Mhm.
think like that's the sweet spot. And a ton of this is just not sexy. It's just let's get these processes down so we can do it in our sleep. And it helps you reach those goals a lot more efficiently, I'll say.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the key things too, Dan, that you said was very important, where a lot of people don't understand is that you got to have a system.
Hmm.
Right? And I always break down systems: save yourself time, energy, money, and stress. If
Yeah.
if you're doing real estate and you feel stressed out, if you're doing real estate and you just feel like I'm beating my head against the wall, I'm arguing with contractors, nobody's listening to me, the lender's having a hard time giving me my draw money, I'm going back and forth with my documentations, you don't have no system.
Hmm.
Because you should be able to go in and say, okay, my contract is going to follow these steps, right? And just to bring it to a visual for people, right? I want y'all to look at this and see this. When I do a property, right, I'll go in. My first immediate thing to do when I walk out of property, or as soon as I leave settlement for a property, I already acquired it. The first thing I'm going to go change the locks. I'm gonna take my time, change the locks. I'm gonna look around. I'm gonna put a map and a plan together, right? I'm just not going in so excited and just, I'm gonna have this contractor there, that contractor there. No, I'm going in, I'm gonna change the locks, I'm gonna secure my building. That's the number one thing I'm doing, securing my building. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna clean out all the trash. Not demo yet, but just clean out all the trash. So now I can have a clearer view of what things are supposed to look like. Then I'm going to do my demo. My demo might be a full gut demo. My demo might be a half a demo. My demo might be, a lipstick demo. But I've already had that plan before I made the acquisition of what I'm going to do with this property. Now, sometimes your plans might change in the middle of the process, but because I have a system and because I have a plan, I can pivot at any given moment. I always go in with 2 to 3 acquisition strategies, and I always have 2 to 3 exit strategies in my pocket just in case. So when you think like that and then you go through the process, right? I do my demo, my canvas is clean. I deliver a clean canvas to the first contractor who comes in, which would be my demo person. The demo person gives you the clean canvas. The next person's coming in is going to be my framer. So when the framer comes in, it's one contractor at a time. One contractor at a time. They frame up, he delivers me back my clean canvas. Then I'm going to have my plumber come in, one contractor at a time. The plumber do their thing, then he delivered me back a clean canvas. Now I got my HVAC guy coming in, so on and so on. Then I got the electrician coming, right? But every time one person is done, they deliver me back a clean canvas. That's not hustling doing real estate.
Hmm.
I have a system. That means that I never have to worry about who got access to my building because I changed the lockbox behind every contractor that come in and out. I never got to worry about who left trash because the contractors, once they're done, they have to deliver the product back as a clean canvas. Inside of my contracts, I have, if you don't deliver it back as a clean canvas, that's a $300 fine. Is liquid damages. Is a $300. If I got to come in and clean behind you, that's a $300 fine. And when you start setting those type of standards, your contractors know. So when they come, they say, you know what? I know I'm in here by myself. It might take me 2 to 3 days to get what my portion of the work done, get all my rough end done, and then I'll come back and do my final. They know how they got to deliver the property. That's not because I'm hustling. That's not because I'm doing this as a hobby. They understand my business, they understand my expectations, and they understand my standards.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to tie it back, but you did that nicely, and that's the difference between a business. Back to, I think the brother name was Jared.
Yeah, Jared.
Um, and and hustling. Hustling is just, I got to get in here real fast. Let me get, and you're
Yep.
doing stuff, and then you stop. Then you move for a little bit, and then you stop. And
Yep.
it's like, take a step back. Let's think about what we're trying to do here. And I understand, just to be clear, I did the hustling. So
Hmm.
like I did that. So this is not me just judging this, like I came in
Right.
this game
Right.
doing it all right. So I
Right.
do want to
Right.
make that clear. I
Yep.
tried the hustling part of it, and I understood, like, no, I'm worried about longevity in this business. Right. I want to be here 20 years from now. So I may not necessarily move as fast as everybody else, but I move deliberately. And I
Hmm.
think that is the difference, right? And to your point, you can think a lot clearer now. Where the time comes in is creating those processes, right?
Yep.
It takes time, right? Because even if you're learning from Calvin, if you're learning from me, if you're learning from Brad, it's always going to be tailored a little bit, right? Because we all have different personalities, we all have different expectations, little things like that, right? So you're going to tailor those things, and that's going to take a little bit of time. But once you get those things down, you got
Hmm.
to think about it. Now your mind is clear. You don't have to think, okay, where did I put the listings for the tenant, and what did I check last time,
Yep.
and what were the documents I put in the leases, and all this sort of stuff, especially when you're dealing with Philadelphia. The last thing you want to be doing is shooting from the hip. That is
Yeah.
that's the last thing you want to do is shoot from the hip. They will put you through the ringer. You want to have all that, everything that they're asking for, all those compliance documents should already be pre-set up. So
Yep.
when you send it to your tenant or however you do it, everything's right there. And so there's not a chance. There should be a checklist. I'm a big believer in checklists.
Me too.
Again, it sounds very simplified, but these are things that just relieve a lot of pressure off of your brain. So every time you're not going in there, to your point, hustling, trying to get things done quickly,
Yeah.
because when things go wrong, it can really go wrong. And I think people sometimes lack the imagination of how bad things can go.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
see things go really bad. And
Yeah,
neither one of us want to see that happen. We want to see you thrive,
for
right?
sure.
And part of that thriving is having those processes, having great mentors, being around a community of people. So I'm curious with you, Calvin. I know your story because we've talked a bit,
Yeah.
but I don't know about if everybody else on this live knows. Is I mean, how did you start to grow out? Because when I started, I didn't know anybody that
Yeah.
was investing. So how did you grow that network?
So it was trial and error. When I first started when I first started in real estate, I didn't have a network. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have contractors. My very first property, I stumbled across it, and most people know my story. I stumbled across it because I wanted to get out of my parents' house. So I bought my first duplex, 32nd and Cecil B. Moore, for $5,000 back in 1991. And when I got that property, I didn't get the property because I wanted to be an investor. I didn't get the property because I wanted to be in real estate. I got the property because my parents were strict. So I wanted to get out of their home so I can have my own independence. I'm, fresh going to college. I'm smelling myself. You know what I mean? I want to do my own thing, right?
Yeah.
So I got that property. But what I realized is that my first property was my first lesson because somebody purchased the property from me. I made a $55,000 profit. In one's eyes, they might see, oh, you did good. No, had I had a mentor coach to tell me, don't sell that property. It's worth more than $60,000. In the next 5 or 10 years, that property is going to worth, 400,000, 475,000. But I wasn't in that mind state at the time. But if had I had somebody coaching me and showing me the business of real estate and making me understand that, it's not just about your independency, Calvin. It's about you just made a move. You 17, 18 years old and you just bought a property. Didn't go through FHA, didn't get a loan, didn't have a lender. It was $5,000 that came from stipend money from my college stipend check. Like, how often do you get that break? And I didn't capture that moment because I didn't have it up here yet. So then, I made the money off of that. I went and bought another property. And I lived in the property. I was doing my own repairs. I was doing electrical work. I had no idea what I was doing. Duct tape, taping up wires behind. I probably could have started a fire, believe it or not. And I'm painting walls. I'm doing these things. And then what I realized is that I started enjoying it. But I really enjoyed it when I placed the tenant. Once I placed the tenant and I started bringing in, a rent, I was like, wait a minute. They just paid me for the month and they're going to pay me next month. Now the wheel is starting to spin. And at
Mhm.
that point, I realized that I can't do this by myself. I can't do
Mhm.
this by myself because I didn't know. I still young kid, don't know nothing. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna take myself back to school. So I went back to Temple University. I went to study business management, and then I took myself to real estate school because I thought that you had to be a realtor just to do deals, right? I mean, so I'm like, let me go get my real estate license because that's what I need to do deals. And I learned later you don't even need a real estate license to sell real estate. So
Yeah.
it was a trial and error. But
Mhm.
once I got my mentor. Once I got my coach, took me
Yeah.
right off. Like my coach literally told me to my face, you don't know enough about real estate and the real estate you're doing is completely wrong. Now I'm probably on my fifth property by this time. So I'm like, what? He looked me in my face and said, you're doing real estate wrong.
Mhm.
Humbled me, and flat out told me you need to drop your attitude. You need to drop your attitude. And I don't know what the words he used back then, but the words to today, he basically was saying, you're not that guy.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
you're not him. So you need to drop your attitude. And if you want to learn, I'll teach you. And
Yeah.
I was upset how he talked to me, but I understood. I
Mhm.
understood. And he took me from 5 units, close to 100 units. And then I
Mhm.
learned how to pivot. I learned how to, manage myself better. I learned how to hire people. I also had a 9 to 5 job. So I not only was I scaling in my real estate on this side, I was scaling in corporate America on this side too. So I was
Mhm.
learning how to, train people. I was learning how to, supervise teams. And I took all of that information and I took it and I put it inside of my business. And then I started betting on me. Because when I
Yeah.
was working my 9 to 5, I was betting on my job to pay me every week. Then I had to
Mhm.
realize that I got to bet on me. I got to
Yeah.
bet on me, and that's when it took
Yeah.
off.
That's an amazing moment when you realize that you need to bet on yourself, but you're
Mhm.
also capable of doing it. And for those who don't know my background, I mean, I was at SEPTA for 18 years.
Mm.
I was on the regional rail, so like I had that good job early. Basically,
Yeah.
it was one of the few jobs where you like once you get in there, you basically got to really mess up to get
Right.
fired
Right.
from
Right.
there.
Right.
And so that was pretty much my path because that's what I was taught, right? I was taught to, find a good job, and it was just fortunately I
Yeah.
found a job. I got hired at SEPTA when I was
Mm.
still in high school, and I was hired full time after I graduated high school, and I stumbled in, not stumbled, but I had no plans on investing, but once I got started, kind of like you, I did things that like felt right, and I was actually making money. Like I was making, I was making some real money. But like when I went, like once I turned 30, and this is where mindset kicked in. I'm like, if I can make the money that I've been making just by kind of what I think is right, like I might be dangerous if I read some books and get inside like a real community. And that's when I got focused. I got focused on two things, and I talk about this a lot because strategy is super important. We talked about that. Calvin talked
Yep.
about running a business and not hustling. But one of the things that even comes before that, and that is important, is mindset. Once I started working on my mindset, once I started under understanding, a lot of the ways that I was taught was really I was taught how to survive, and I had to reteach myself on how to prosper and how to thrive, which is a totally different
Yeah.
mindset,
Yeah.
right? I had to learn different things. I had to, you know, I had to open myself up to, you know, learning and understanding that there's things that I just don't know. In fact, there's a lot of things that I don't know. So, you know, had to get kind of humbled there. And just understanding like it started to expect to win, which was a big part of the business, but really believing in myself. And a bit of a funny it's not so much funny, but it's interesting is, like I said, I was there 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
I knew when I was 30, or the goal I set for myself was by the time I'm 35, I'm going to retire. That's the goal I stuck in my, that's the goal that was like in my head.
Mm-hmm.
To our point earlier, and I kind of worked backwards. Very similar to what you said. I knew what I was making. I said, well, if I could at least double that, and it was very rudimentary there what my strategy was. But I was like, if I could double what I'm making now in rent, because obviously, you know, rent's not as, you know, it's not guaranteed like your
Right.
paycheck, at least while you're still working.
Yep.
You know, so I said, if I can at least double that, like that's sweet. And then I worked backwards from that. That let me know how many units I needed to buy and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what I did was I knew when I was 30, I didn't tell anybody that I was quitting my job. And it's funny, my wife actually pushed me. She was like, I think you should really let these folks know. Because I was on that, you know, I was on year 4 coming up to that 5th year where I said I was going to leave. And for 2 reasons. One main reason. The main reason was I did not want anybody to talk me out of my dream. And I knew 5 years was enough time for people to sow enough doubt in my mind that I could back out of it. And
Yeah.
so interestingly, I didn't tell them till maybe 3 months. I quit Christmas Eve of 2014. I might have told them in like October. And when I say them, like my best man, I worked with him. I didn't tell him. And I
Mm.
mean, immediately, why do you gotta leave? Well, can't you stay here and buy
Mm-hmm.
real estate? And I mean, everybody there, just
Yeah.
in the 3 months. Imagine if I give them 5 years.
Yeah.
Try to dissuade me
Yeah.
from following my goals. And I think my opinion of it, and I'm curious what you think. I
Mm-hmm.
think that some of it is some people are. I think they're genuinely like concerned. Some people. I think for other people, even if they're not aware of it, I think that subconsciously, if I leave and follow my dreams and I do well, it's like, well, what does that mean for me and all the dreams that I left behind, or all the dreams that I never followed? Because if he leaves and he makes it, you know what I mean? Wow, you know, and then all the reasons, all the rationalizations that I had not to follow my dreams, now I have to look, I have to look at that, right? And the other piece of it was, now of course they didn't tell it to me. Everybody who said it to me was, oh, you know, I wish you the best. But it
Yeah.
was a lot of, oh, he'll be back next year. Now, granted, that's like 10 years ago now. Now everybody can see how great of a good idea it was. Oh, I always knew you were going to do it. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, well, because I've done it,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
You
For
know?
sure. For sure.
So I
Yeah.
don't know if you had that experience
Yeah.
or if you see that the same or maybe a little bit differently. Have you had any experience there?
So a little bit. So when I was getting started in real estate, I started with my family, right? So I would, go to, family events. I would go to like barbecues. We would have, Thanksgiving dinner and things like, festivities and things like that. I was coming with my laptop. I was
Mm-hmm.
coming talking to my family like, hey, listen, this real estate is really, is good. If y'all tap into this with me, put some money in this, we can buy some properties and flip it. Everybody was like, oh, here you go again, Calvin. You can't never just relax. Every time you come and show up, you always want to talk business. You always want to talk, real estate, or you want to talk that. And I'm just like, yeah, because this is what's going on. Nobody really listened to me, right? When it came to my job, I didn't really have because my position at work, I was a supervisor, and then I became a district manager, and then a regional manager. So I didn't, but my other counterparts that were district managers with me, We talked a little bit about real estate, but they was more into like, other things that I wasn't into, right? Like they might have talked about golf, or they might have talked about, betting and gambling and horse races and car shows. And I mean, not car shows, car events. I wasn't into stuff like that. So when they had those conversations, I was always on my computer. I was always researching. I was always doing different things. So I never got a chance to talk to them about that. When I quit my job, or when I respectfully fired my boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
I planned it. Nobody knew that I was going to quit. Nobody knew I was going to quit. I came when I was a district manager, I had a company car, company credit card, company laptop. I literally took my personal car to the job site the night before.
Mm-hmm.
I called a cab back home, and then I drove my company car to work the next day, and I quit. Like I told him that I just couldn't do it. And my supervisor was like, take some time off. Like, don't just quit like that. Take some time off and think about it, because you're making an irrational decision. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, I'm not, because a lot of people that know my story is that when I was working, I had got diagnosed with cancer, and I went out of
Mm-hmm.
work, and then I had to fight that fight. And when I beat that fight, and when I came back to work, all my work was on my desk.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from me being out 6, 7 months, all the work was there. And my boss looked me in my face and said to me, "How long is it going to take you to get this done?" And I'm like, "This is my first day back. Like, y'all couldn't have anybody do this?" And it was like, "No, you got to get this done." And it hurt me it hurt me, like I was so angry that tears was coming out of my eyes. And I'm just like, here it is. The doctor told me don't stress. And I'm coming back to an environment that's walking me right into stress. So I was furious. So I got up, I left, I went home, I sat there, and I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. Like, I am not going to let this job kill me. Now, mind you, I'm already doing real estate on the side. I just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing it full time. I wasn't doing it full time. I was doing it like a side hustle, right? Because I was dependent, I was letting the job do it. And when I quit, I went to work, I quit. As I'm driving home, I started having doubt. So I didn't have a doubt with other people in my ear. My mind started playing tricks on me. Like, I'm like, yo, did I do the right thing? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go back and apologize. I gotta go back and apologize. Right. I'm like, did I do the right thing? Right. So then I'm like, I finally get home, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna bet on me. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
bet on me. And that year, I went full time real estate. I was a full time real estate agent. I was a full time investor, and I doubled my salary in 15 months. The
Mm-hmm.
salary that I was making at my 9 to 5, I put it in my account in 15 months, because I didn't know when I was going to eat again. I didn't know when the next check was going to come, because when you are an entrepreneur, you can be broke on Monday, you can be
Yep.
a millionaire on Friday, right? So, or vice
It's a
versa, you
wild
can be
swing.
a millionaire on Monday, you can be broke
Yeah.
on Friday, right? You
Yeah.
just don't have, you don't have the consistency when you're first coming out the gate being an entrepreneur. So I didn't spend a dime. I was washing my clothes every 2 to 3 days. I was wearing the same outfits. I was so nervous that I didn't know when the money was going to stop. I knew mentally that the job paid me every week. So it had me in a routine. It had me in a system. It had me in this ecosystem. I know I'm getting paid every Friday. I'm getting paid every Friday. When I left, I didn't know when I was going to get paid again. So every dollar I made, if I sold a property and I only made 2,500, I banked that 2,500. If I did a flip and I made $40,000, I banked that $40,000, because I was so nervous that I didn't know when that was going to stop. And then
Mhm.
it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm doing okay now, because I figured out a system. I figured out I can
Mhm.
flip this property, take 50% of that, take some of that to go back to the flip, take the other 50%, buy me a hold. Then
Mhm.
once my cash flow was 50% of what my salary was a month, I started feeling a little bit more comfortable. I started
Mhm.
getting more comfortable. And then
Yeah.
at that point, I took off, man. I took off.
But what I hear, what I hope most people hear too, because sometimes, again, man, I mean, I know that you are all over the place, podcast videos. People see you, and what happens is, and they might see me different places. They start thinking like we like superhumans or something like that. It's like no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. You felt fear. I felt
Yeah.
fear, right? The
Yeah.
point of it is that we face that fear and we move beyond it. So
Yeah.
the idea is
Yeah.
not that you don't feel fear. I always tell people that's insane. There's not anybody who tells you that they're not afraid is a psychopath. That's fear. fear serves a purpose. Like, you know, our lives, it keeps you from doing some real stupid stuff. So that's what
Absolutely.
it's there for.
Yep.
But sometimes what it is, it's not based in reality, right?
Mm.
Because our brain, the number one function is to keep us safe. So it does want to make sure that we're gonna eat. It
Yeah,
does want to
for
make
sure.
sure we have a place to
For sure.
live, right?
Yeah.
And so it will create monsters that are not necessarily there,
Hmm.
right? Or it will overinflate issues, right? And then what happens is, as you face your fear, you just become more courageous, right?
Yep.
And that's back to the mindset, but you only become more courageous by going through it. There is no course that'll get you there, really. You have to
Yep.
exercise that muscle.
For
It's like
sure.
weights or whatever the case is. People can't just motivate you into that. You got to become a more courageous person.
Yep.
You know, when you feel that fear, at least for me, what I realized is, because what I would try to do is try to pretend I wasn't afraid. Might as well, that's not
Mm.
working. I had to just, okay, I
Mm.
am nervous, but I'm going to do it anyway. Right. And sometimes that's just it. Like you just, you like recognize the feeling, but I'm still going to do that thing. And what happens is you just become more brave.
Yeah, for sure. Hmm.
I think that's Jim Rohn that says that is that we don't become less afraid. We we just become more brave.
Yep.
And
That's
and
correct.
and I can definitely speak to that. Is that's what happens. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what too? One thing to add to that too, Dan, people got to understand it. It's okay to be afraid,
Yeah.
right? It's okay to have fear because the thing is, if once you conquer the fear, it's no longer fear,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's something that you conquered. It was a task that you got through.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when we're making decisions, whether if it's real estate or anything that you're doing, when you're making that decision, your first instinct is doubt. And once
Mm-hmm.
you start understanding that I got to get over this doubt because I believe in me. I believe in my abilities. If somebody asked me, but one of my mentees, we had a call this morning. He asked me, he said, "Coach, if you had to start all over in real estate right now, what would you do? Like if you lost it all right now, what would you do?" And I said, you know what? I would get it back faster now because of the information that I have acquired throughout the years. But I wouldn't panic because there's so much to do, right? If you don't have any money at all and you're trying to get into real estate, I'm going wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be a connector. I'm gonna find a private seller. I'm gonna find a cash buyer, and I'm gonna spend all of my time connecting these people together until I start building up some capital. Once I
Mm-hmm.
build up some capital, I'm not going to come right out the gate and probably do a rental. I'm gonna probably come out the gate and do a flip because I need a little bit of security blanket to make sure that if I go buy a rental, that if the tenant don't pay or something happens, that I have some cushion. So
Mm-hmm.
just thinking like that really quickly off the top, I've already put together me making money without me spending money. So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't got no money to spend, you got to figure out how do I get into real estate and at what strategy and at what capacity to make money. One of the easiest things is wholesaling, right?
Yeah.
That's just connecting the dots, make some money. Connect the dots, make some money. It's what you do with the money that once you make it. A lot of people don't have the discipline to put the money back into the business because it was so hard to make it the first time. They feel like, oh, I'm just going to go to something else and spend this somewhere else because it was too hard for me to make that $5,000. It was too hard for me to make that 2,500. But that's the thing. The first time is hard. The second time is easy. So you just got to keep the process going and keep things going, and you got to get over the fear and you got to get over the doubt.
Yeah. And the last thing that I'll add, at least to that fear part of it, is like anything else, the more you do things, the more you trust yourself, which is going to
Mhm.
sound weird, but you trust yourself to actually get things done. So you have more confidence the next time that you run across problems because you know that you're capable, right? If you never push through any difficult issues, right? You won't trust yourself really. But it's like but once you do those things and you execute and you follow all the way through, because
Yep.
that's where a lot of people lose it is in the execution, right? Listen, follow it all the way through. If it gets difficult, you still need to push through, right? We
Yep.
all sometimes feel like pulling them covers over our head, but
Yeah,
it's
for
like, all
sure.
right, listen, even if I just get one thing done today, one step, just one move, one step forward, right? A lot
Yeah.
of times people think you got to jump the whole thing. It's like, no, one step, and then tomorrow another step and another step, and then you will trust yourself more. People will trust you because they will see the confidence and they will
Yeah.
see the consistency of your movement. So I
And you
know
know
we're I
what,
know I
too?
know we're getting to the top of the hour, but go, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
go
yeah.
go
We
go.
get to the top of the hour. So I want everybody to understand this because Dan, you said something very important. And I
Mm,
want y'all to get this before we get out of here. If you make a to-do list,
mm,
I want you to listen to what that sounds like. I'm going to do a to-do list. Just do two things on the list. That's do up to do list. Two off the list, and you've
mm,
accomplished your day. If you got
mm,
15 things on that list, it's a to-do list. Two things off the list in the morning, something in the evening, and you've conquered the list. Don't
mm.
overthink the process. That's why it's called a to-do list. We just overthought it and think that we got to put 50 things in there, 100 things got to get there. No, to do means to do two things. That's it.
Yeah. That's it. That's great. Listen again. If I'm sure a lot of these are your folks. If you're not following me, definitely follow me.
Absolutely,
Follow
bro.
follow follow Bragg. If for some reason you're not following Calvin, I assume that you are.
Yeah.
You should definitely be following him, man. I'm definitely
Yeah.
glad that we've had an opportunity to meet and
Yes, sir, man.
speak on the same stage. So listen, any way that I can help you or your members out, I'm definitely here for you, brother.
I appreciate that. Same
And
thing here, man. Anything you
yeah,
need, I'm here.
and I definitely appreciate you jumping on.
I appreciate you, man. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bro. Talk to you
All
soon.
right.
Bye.